Welcome to another episode of I'm Starting to Think. Episode 2, I'm your host, Blueprint. And on today's episode, I'm starting to think we've been looking at the GOAT debate all wrong. Every time people start talking about the greatest basketball player of all time, the same arguments come up. LeBron has the most points. Jordan was undefeated in the finals. LeBron played longer. Jordan won more scoring titles. This player has more assists. That player has more rebounds. Everybody has their own list of statistics that they think matters the most. But I'm starting to think we've made this debate way more complicated than it needs to be. To me, there should be one accomplishment that stands above everything else. One accomplishment that carries more weight than regular season MVPs, more weight than career points, more weight than all-star appearances, more weight than triple doubles. And that accomplishment is the NBA Finals MVP. Now, before y'all hit the comment saying, Blueprint, you're crazy, let me explain why I think that. A championship is a team accomplishment. You need great teammates. You need a great coach. You need role players who know their jobs. Sometimes you need good health. Sometimes you even need a little luck. Winning a championship takes an entire organization. But the Finals MVP is different. The Finals MVP answers one question. Who was the best player when the championship was on the line? That's what separates it from every other award. The regular season is 82 games. You have nights where teams rest players. You have back-to-backs. You have games in November that people barely remember. But the NBA Finals, there are no nights off. Every possession matters. Every turnover matters. Every missed shot matters. Every defensive adjustment matters. The entire basketball world is watching. That's pressure. That's where legends are made. And if you're the player who rises above everybody else on that stage, you've earned something bigger than just another trophy. You've earned proof that when basketball reached its highest level, you were the best player on the floor. That's why I believe Finals MVPs should be the number one factor in determining the GOAT. Everything else is basically a tiebreaker. Now let's talk about Michael Jordan. Jordan has 6 championships. But the number that matters most to me is 6 Finals MVPs. Think about what that means. Every single time the Bulls won a championship, Jordan was the best player in the finals. Not sometimes, not most of the time. Every single time. There was never a championship where another Bull was named Finals MVP. There was never a debate about who carried the team when it mattered most. Jordan finished the job. Every time. Now let's look at LeBron James before I say anything else. Let's be clear. LeBron has had one of the greatest careers in basketball history. 4 championships, 4 Finals MVPs, 4 regular season MVPs. The NBA's all-time leading scorer, 20-plus years of elite basketball. Nobody can honestly say LeBron isn't one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball. But here's where I separate greatness from the GOAT. To pass Michael Jordan, I don't think LeBron needs more career points. He already has that. I don't think he needs more all-star appearances. He already has that. I don't think he needs to play until he's 45 years old. Longevity is impressive, but longevity alone doesn't make you the greatest. To me, LeBron needs 3 more finals MVPs, not just 3 more championships, 3 more finals MVPs, because championships can sometimes be won by great teams. But finals MVPs tell me exactly who led that championship. If LeBron finished his career with 7 finals MVPs, now we're having a completely different conversation. Because now he would have proven that he was the best player on basketball's biggest stage more times than Michael Jordan. That's something I couldn't ignore. Now I already know what some people are thinking. Blueprint, basketball is a team sport. You're right. It is. That's exactly why finals MVP matters so much. It identifies the player who separated himself from everybody else in the biggest series of the season. Another argument people make is longevity. They'll say, LeBron has been great for over 20 years. And I agree. That's unbelievable. But I don't think playing longer automatically makes someone greater. Because if that were true, every all-time record would automatically decide the GOAT debate. And I don't believe basketball works that way. The greatest moments should matter more than simply playing the longest. Then people bring up statistics, points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, triple doubles, all incredible accomplishments. But to me, those are tiebreakers. If 2 players have similar finals resume, then yes. Let's compare the numbers. Let's compare longevity. Let's compare efficiency. Let's compare awards. But the first thing I want to know is this. Who dominated when the Larry O'Brien trophy was on the line? That's where I start my GOAT conversation. Everything else comes after. That's why I think Finals MVP is basketball's most important individual award. It isn't won in December. It isn't won against lottery teams. It isn't won because you had a hot month. It's earned against the best competition on the biggest stage with the entire world watching. That's why I value more than anything else. Now, does everybody have to agree with me? Of course not. That's what makes sports fun. Everybody has different criteria. Some people value longevity. Some people value championships. Some people value statistics. Some people value eye test. This is just my standard. If you want to be called the greatest basketball player who has ever lived, then prove it where the pressure is the highest. Win finals MVPs. Because to me, that's basketball's ultimate measuring stick. So until somebody surpasses Michael Jordan's 6 finals MVPs, I still believe Jordan has the edge in the GOAT debate. Not because LeBron isn't an all-time great. He absolutely is. But because I believe the biggest stage deserves the biggest weight. And until somebody proves they were the best player in the NBA Finals more times than Jordan, I'm sticking with MJ. But that's just what I think. Now I want to hear from y'all. Should Finals MVP be the #1 factor in deciding the GOAT? Or should something else come first? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This has been another episode of I'm Starting to Think. I'm your host, Blueprint. And remember, sometimes the greatest debates are solved by asking one simple question. Who was the best when everything was on the line? I'll catch y'all in the next episode.